So we've been joined now by Spanish ex-Grand Prix driver Pedro de la Rosa. Thank you very much for coming to the FIVA stand. Obviously Goodwood's the elite side of historic motorsport. Outside of that, do you have any following of old cars and historic cars? Do they feature in your life at all?
I mean, I'm not an expert of historic cars. I have at home a buggy with a Porsche engine and a Carman chassis. That's it's a historic car, obviously, and it's the car which I learned to drive. And when I was a kid, my father taught me how to drive a car with that. So I still have it at home, and it's a convertible. And I always take my kids during the weekend, and we kind of get that pleasure of driving a historic car, which is a unique experience. And I keep bringing my kids with me because I want them to understand how enjoyable it is to drive a historic car.
Well, that's been a theme of the weekend, actually, and it's a common concern really with FIVA that the older generation are more interested in cars. The younger kids, as you've just said, maybe are interested in computers or iPhones or whatever, less so in cars. But you're obviously actively trying to encourage the next generation.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's something all parents have to do, because at the end of the day, we love motorsport. We love cars in general, and it's something we need to educate them to understand where we are coming from, where we are heading, and also to make sure that they have the chance of experiencing what we did. And that's why. And I'm here in the Goodwood Festival in a revival today, and I brought my youngest daughter, which is 14 years old. She's not a kid anymore, but she loves Formula One. She's in love with Formula One racing, and when she's been here for a few days now, she just told me, "Daddy, this is better than Formula One." And for me to have my kid, which is 14 years old, saying this of a revival event like this one, full of historic cars, is very special.
Well, that's fantastic to hear, and just what we want, exactly what we want to hear there, the next generation being inspired by this type of racing. So what about the historic car scene in Spain more generally? Is it in good health in Spain, would you say?
No, I don't think we are in good health in Spain. I think that the historic community is decreasing. There's more, the law is changing, so it's been more restricting the free use of historic cars. So I come from Barcelona. We have some regulations now that are restricting the use during the whole week of historic cars, and this is a problem. And there's more and more people that are not happy with it, that they're keeping their cars in the garage for longer, and in a way we're just giving away the opportunity of driving on a day-to-day basis a historic car. This is what's happening in Spain. We are not a huge community of historic users, but this new regulation is hampering even more our situation.
Yeah, it's one of the roles of FIVA is to work with governments in terms of regulations and things, and obviously that's one of the hurdles that we have to overcome. What's your view on classic cars being converted, maybe say putting electric motors, that type of thing into classic cars? What's your feelings on that?
Well, I think that there will be a point where if we cannot drive historic cars as they are, we have to have a very broad way of thinking, and possibly we'll need to install some type of electric motors. I think hybrid cars are too complex, and they're just not feasible. So I think there will be a time where we have to move on, although the battery technology is not still modern enough to be able to get a kit of plug and go. It's still too complex. It would be a too complex and expensive way of modernizing a classic car, but it will happen because the governments, the laws are just heading in a direction where the only way out will be to electrify our historic cars.
Yeah, so in terms of your own activities, have you shown any interest in historic rallying? It's a discipline. Have you ever done any of that?
No, I must say I'm a newcomer, in historic racing. in historic racing circuit, let alone rallying, you know. So today I'm driving a Jaguar E-Type, a semi-lightweight. It's a jewel. It's a piece of it really. I mean, the experience of driving the Jaguar E-Type is not about driving the Jaguar E-Type alone. It's the fact that Jaguar E-Type was driven by Bruce McLaren. So it's a hell of an experience. But that's about my experience, you know, in historic cars. I have no other interest in rallying. I think I'm more a circuit orientated person.
But you do tend to find some drivers do gravitate towards things like the Mille Miglia, you know, those kinds of historic events. So maybe somewhere along the line you might take up an interest in those kinds of events.
Well, absolutely. I mean, the reason why this is my first Goodwood Revival is the main reason was because when I was in Formula One, I mean, I spent like over 250 days traveling and not at home. So whenever it came the opportunity to come to this event, I thought I rather honestly I need to dedicate my spare time to my family, my kids, you know. So I never came here because I was just flat out during the whole year. Now that I'm like retired, I have time, and it was on my, you know, my
your bucket list.
The bucket list to come here, and you know, the first opportunity that I've had time, and I am here. So let's see. I mean, I hope to be a regular in the Revival because it's just such an event. I mean, I'm just overwhelmed, really.
So Pedro de la Rosa, thank you very much for your support for FIVA and coming along to our stand. It's very, very good to talk to you.
Thank you for your work. Okay. It's very important for all the users and for the future, especially. And as a lover of motor cars and motor racing and classic cars, I think we as parents need to educate also our kids. It doesn't matter what the government say, do, or we also have our own responsibility. We cannot always blame the governments. I mean, we are part of it, and we have to educate our kids in the sense of what a classic or historic car is.
That's excellent thoughts. Thank you very much, Pedro.